Hello and welcome to Guests for Change, the guest list webinar series. My name is Danny Shine and today we will be talking to Andreas Lenzhofer, co-founder of Dagsmejan. Welcome Andreas, it's so good to have you today.
Thanks for having me, very happy to be here.
Yes, lovely to have you. So your background has mainly been in finance. How is it that you came into working in the textile industry from that background? How did you make that move from finance into fibers?
It's indeed not. I'm often wondering myself how I have ended up in the textile industry, to be honest. But actually, yes, I was in finance, but I was actually working as a strategy consultant for about 20 years. So everything I did was, strategizing, resolving strategic problems first principle. So this has been my training. And when I decided together with my partner that we want to start a business, we basically took a strategic or an analytical approach to it. So we went into a macro assessment. So what are kind of the macro trends that are going to shape the world for the next 20 years? And there we found the topic of wellness, well-being, personal optimization is one of the key trends. And underneath that, we found sleep is a great aspect, great theme. One where actually the perspective is changing. I mean, when you think back 5-10 years ago, sleep was for losers, and now you really see how this is changing. So sleep is really center stage. People realize and recognize the importance of sleep, and so we found this is an interesting trend for us long term. And then the second reckoning was that we do a lot of sports, so we invest a lot of money for sportswear, which is functionally optimized, which you then only use a couple of hours a year quite often. While on the other hand, we sleep in a traditional cotton pyjama, or not even that. So we don't expect function in sleepwear. And we thought this is quite odd because it's 1/3 of our life. It really matters for our personal health, for well-being, for recovery. So we should actually expect the function we have in sportswear in sleepwear as well. So this brought us into the topic of textile. Obviously, yes, neither my partner nor I had great experience, actually no experience at all in textile. So we realized very early on that we need to work with some strong partners on that side. So we started with research projects with academic bodies, with EMPA, which is an institute from the Technical University in Switzerland for material science, with a design university in Lucerne for ergonomic fit and design. So really, we went into textile, but we more approach it from a management, from a strategy perspective, and then we sourced in the textile capabilities on the way. Basically, this is how we have ended up in textile, and obviously it helps sometimes to have a bit of a naivety to enter a new industry. It helps you to look at it differently and really challenge some established thinking in the process.
Yeah, I love the way that you use that word naivety. It's almost like it's that fusion between that childlike wonder and exploration and adventure of things, but also matched very beautifully, as you said, with your academic and almost research approach to things. It makes it quite scientific as well. And as you said, your company doesn't necessarily have a traditional business model. It's rather integrating, the digital aspect of things and able with that to scale globally. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? What is the business model like? What makes it unique and so successful?
Obviously, we're not the first ones thinking about sleepwear and developing sleepwear. It's a saturated market. In many markets, it's actually an oligopolistic market. So you have 2 or 3 dominant players. Normally quite traditional players that have been around for many years. In Switzerland, it's Kalida, it's a household brand. In Germany, it's May. There are many quite strong brands, very established brands in core markets. But so we thought, point one, we need to have a very different approach and different product in the design, but also the distribution we need to do differently than the classic ones. Because we also said, if you have a new idea and a cool product, you need to scale quickly. And we go through the classic, the traditional wholesale channels. It takes you years. You need 2 or 3 years till you get recognized by the classic buyers. If ever, shelf space is scarce, and it's very difficult to scale up very quickly. On the other hand, this is also the beauty of digital assets that are available nowadays. I mean, nowadays you really can start a digital business very, very quickly. I mean, for us, it took us basically two weeks to set up a web shop where we then had some global distribution capabilities. I mean, this is something you would never have had 10 or 20 years ago. The new opportunities, and we really managed to leverage those opportunities. And for us, again, it was important that we built global capabilities very early on. So we focus on the large markets, not just Switzerland and then maybe another market, that we really have a global model, that we deliver globally, that we market the products globally. This also implies, if you want to be serious in e-commerce, that you have free delivery, free return for all the core markets. This was obviously quite a challenge to establish that, particularly as a young player. But again, early on, we focused on that to really have a leading edge digital value proposition.
Yeah, so taking it almost like from that goal-orientated approach. So you know your goals, and then you're working back step by step in terms of how to get there. And I think that also plays very well into, you know, how you function as a human being. You know, you want to function optimally, as you said. You want to have that really good performance at work, sports, focus, concentration, all of those things that we need sleep for, you know. So that ties together very beautifully. And, you know, with your garments, they're fusing very much the best parts of nature with that sound scientific research. And that helps humanity to improve something that many of us tend to get very little of, which is good quality sleep. So how can fiber improve sleep? How does fiber improve muscle recovery? Like, how does that work, you know? Are there maybe fibers that we shouldn't be sleeping in so much? How does that all fit together?
First of all, it's important to establish what actually means good sleep quality. Mm-hmm. And here you can basically be very pragmatic and say good sleep quality means time minus how much time you spend in deep sleep phase and how much time you spend in the REM phase, because these are basically the two phases that really matter. And so everything that is supporting the length of the sleep, but also really help the body to drop down to these deep sleep phases, because there is really where deep relaxation happens, where muscle recovery happens, where you growth hormones are extracted and flowing through your body. So you need to have as much time as possible in these deep sleep phases. So when you have established that, then it's always a question: what does actually inhibit the body to be in these deep sleep phases? And here we looked in. I mean, this was part of a research project we did. So there are basically two things that determine sleep quality. One is the melatonin level. So we need to have a melatonin level that goes up during the day and then drops during the night. And the other one is the body temperature. So our sleep quality is very much steered by temperature during the day. So our body temperature needs to drop before you go to bed. You cannot fall asleep if your body temperature does not drop. And then in the early morning, 4 o'clock or so, it starts to revert. So your temperature is going up, and this you feel the body is regaining steam, is regaining energy, and it's preparing for the wake up. And there are many more micro cycles during the sleep. Now, when you go into phase 3 deep sleep, the temperature drops. If you go into REM phase, the temperature goes up. And really, temperature has a key role for our sleep quality. And so, basically, and this then drives the functional requirements for our sleepwear. You need to have a garment that really helps the body to stay in this neutral zone, so in this optimal climatic comfort zone, as this is called. So whenever the body is getting hot or warm, it helps it to cool down. When you're too cold, it helps it to warm up. When you're sweaty and you have disturbing moisture, the moisture is wicked away. But also it's free of any friction. It's as smooth as possible, as little rubbing as possible. So this defines the requirements for good sleep quality. And then based on that, we started to develop fabrics, garments, styles that really work against those functional requirements. And it took us about 150 different fabrics, knitting structures. We tested against those requirements. Still, we have something that really tested very, very well against the requirements. We also, I mean, very early on, we we decided we want to do this with natural fibers for multiple reasons. One is we come to that later. I think it's more sustainable. I mean, we wanted to, just as a brand, we want to stay away from synthetic fibers, oil-based fibers. So it's a clear decision we took on that earlier. On the other hand, it's also a customer requirement. I mean, while in sportswear, in activewear, people accept or expect even some synthetic fibers. When it comes to sleep, it's more a cozy relation. I mean, it's very intimate. I mean, you wear this 8 hours, 9 hours of a day, and people have a clear preference for natural fibers. And thirdly, natural fibers have actually quite interesting basic thermoregulating properties. And most natural fibers, they're hydrophilic, so they suck moisture away. But there are obviously disadvantages that come with that. And this is where we found some innovative technical solution. I mean, hydrophobing, hydrophilic fibers is something that has not been really on the market, and this is something we really developed in our project.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of, hydrophilic, that's the one where it attracts moisture, correct? And then hydrophobic is the one that repels it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think also, you find that a lot of people, I don't know, tend to be a little bit sweaty, when they sleep. And so it's getting that optimum balance, I think, that really, as you said, helps with that. And I just want to touch a little bit more on something that you mentioned there. The botanic fibers that you said that you're using, they're very, very, exceptionally sustainable, really. And some of them take up to 20 times less water than cotton to produce, as far as I understand. So what is that approach that you take to sustainability? How does that all come together?
And sustainability is a sum of many things, and it's more a journey than a static topic. I mean, when early on we said sustainability is an important topic for us. We want to be as sustainable as possible, recognizing that there's still some compromise you need to do because the stuff is just not available in a way that it should be. We said as much as possible we do this. For example, implied we only use natural fibers. We also use natural fibers that can be predominantly produced in Europe. Then we also decided we produce the garments in Europe because again we don't want to ship fabrics to Asia, then manufacture garments, ship them back to Europe. It just doesn't make sense in our view. So we really decided. So we really want to be sustainable. And we want to do many things to be sustainable, and more to come. Obviously, I mean, we still use some elastane because it just helps to have a really stable garments. It's something we want to get out, but there's no technical solution at the moment for the fine qualities we have. But it's something we're working on. There's more to come, and over time, I think we really want to be CO2 neutral. We're not there yet, but it's something we work.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also that acknowledgement, to the audience, to everybody out there that, this is what is feasible at the moment. This is what we can do and we can say. And these are the things that we're working towards, because sustainability, circularity, all of that is very much a journey. It's not a final destination, like I'm here, I've made it, I'm fully sustainable. We're always going to have an impact on the world in some way, shape or form. And it really is just having that conversation and, being upfront about it, And so including all of those sustainable visions that you just mentioned, what is your overall vision for the company going ahead at this point?
Fundamentally, we are a sleep company. So this is, we are here to bring better sleep to the world, as we call it, and this is bluntly spoken our vision. So we further develop products that help to support this vision. And obviously, our core, the many things you can do to sleep better. But our focus is really functional textiles. So really have functionality in textiles when it matters for better sleep. So basically, the next developments we currently working on is a second layer. So it's it's an obvious one. So it's bed linen, it's pillowcases, it's duvet sheets. So here we have some interesting developments actually running currently, but then also more products along that line. I mean, we think about pillows, we think about duvets, so this one dimension, The other one is globalization. I mean, we global at the moment. However, we're not really global. I mean, we're focusing on 4 or 5 key markets. But there's Asia, for example, we're not targeting at all. So this is an interesting development for us as well, to really make this a global brand and go into the markets we have not really been in. And then third is also customer segments. At the moment, we're very much focusing on, I mean, let's say the adult 30 to 50. We have started now with baby wear. There's more to do for kids. There's more to do for elderly people. There's more. I mean, the more functional problem areas you can define, and then really develop new products in a scientific way. And this is what we are really focus on a problem, determine it, define the functional requirements, develop some fabrics, develop some ideas, test them, and once we perform against the requirements, we bring them to the market.
Yeah, definitely. So that you almost already know that there's going to be some sort of a demand for it in a way, which is wonderful. You know, I think that that's very much something that I've learned as well, especially within this conversation, is, you know, having a look at that end point of where we'd like to reach to, and then we can take those smaller steps that build up towards that, which I think is a good perspective to have.
It's really the thing. One of our core is really to be also an honest brand, so to say. There's so much pretension in textile. I mean, it's really. I really get a bit angry sometimes. I mean, suddenly every brand is now sustainable, and it's just not possible. And there's so little standardization what sustainability really means. There's so little understanding from the customer side what is a sustainable brand, what is a sustainable product, and what is not. And so I think it's also part of our mission to also educate the consumers. What is it? What should you look for? What not? And here we really say, I mean, obviously we want to be on the very honest side, and we also want to help customers to understand what a good product really is, what a sustainable product really is, and what is it not, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And that all ties together into that whole ecosystem of sustainability that we're working towards together as a world. You know, we're needing the high quality fabrics, fibers. We're needing the good quality sleep as humans to be able to function better and to be in the world. And also that awareness and that education, you know, of where those missing pieces are. And that's, as you said, where science can fill in. You know, science can guide us in those ways. So thank you very much for that time and insight, Andreas. That was really, really amazing. And such a lot in such a short space of time as well.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you very much for your time and your insights, Andreas. I mean, who knew that what you can wear affects how you sleep? Yeah? Remember to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button to be in the loop to close the loop.